along with us is also John, Big John Stud. I like to call him sometimes. What's up, John? How are you?
I'm doing fine. And funny you said that. Not that I'm anywhere near as big as Big John Stud, but back in the day, and I'm talking 40 years ago, I was the writer for the Big John Stud comic books.
Oh, really?
Which were around for a hot second.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Big John Stud, Mr. John Minton was his name, and unfortunately he passed away a while ago, a couple of years ago, 10, 15 years ago, I think, because of some illness. But yeah, Big John, happy to be with you guys. Glad you had like a couple of minutes for me this week.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun. It's been a while since we got back with you, and either it was just you and I or Joe and you, and so it's good to have us all kind of in the same room together here. But
it's good to be on with you guys when one of you guys isn't sick, because that's usually when I'm on, is when one of you guys isn't feeling well, is when I'm usually brought on. But I'm happy to join you guys as usual.
Right. Oh, definitely. So, Joe, you there yet? You all right?
I'm here.
There you are. Joe is there. Your beautiful voice is here with us. So Joe and I have talked about this segment a bunch of different times, but now there is new information brought to light here with the Trey Hendrickson contract dispute. And it's reports now that he's going to return to camp tomorrow. So we brought John on for a little insight on this, and we decided to have a little fun talking about this, his contract, and what even John thinks he might even expect out of Trey Hendrickson. And maybe we can compare him with the likes of TJ Watt with his deal even that he got too, and production wise. So John, again, like I said, we've given our opinions a bunch of different times. So what do you think about Hendrickson and what's transpired so far with him and the Bengals?
Yeah, so I don't think this is an issue of whether Trey Hendrickson is a top NFL pass rusher, right? I think that's sort of like, yes, Your Honor, we accept that into evidence without any objection, right? He's up there. But let's not forget, guys, what is the one notorious most tight-fisted, cheapskate organization in the NFL? It's the Bengals, right? They toss around nickels like manhole covers, right? They're tightwads when it comes to the contracts, and they just got done paying their triplets on offense, right? So Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, I think got taken care of last year, right? So. You've got those. They've dropped a lot of cash, and it's going to be tough for them to sign Hendrickson. Will they end up signing him? That's going to be. I have no actual insight. I think it could go either way, man. And but if the question is, should they sign him? I still don't know, because once you've gotten to this level, if you're a player in an organization, is there ever any real going back, guys, do you think? Like, once this is beyond typical contract negotiations, right? There's holdouts, there's accusations, there's bad blood. The coach is trying to play peacemaker between ownership and the player. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Like, before you even get into numbers, before you get into comparisons, just psychologically, do we think that Hendrickson is someone you want to have on the team once it's gotten to this point?
I think so, absolutely, because the fact that once they told him that even, hey, him and his team, you guys can seek a trade if you want. I mean, that was kind of, on the Bengals' part, kind of disrespectful as well. But he never really wanted to leave, though. He always wanted to be here. He's like, well, I want to be here with this team. I want to stay here. So it's not even about wanting to go play with somewhere else, stuff like that. I've shown what I could do here. I want to be here with the rest of the team. I think this is a good fit. And, I just expect to get paid like it for once here. So, in the fact now that he is deciding, to show up to kind of maybe lessen that blow here, be with the team and no longer train anywhere else. I think he was training in Jacksonville, I think possibly. Yeah. So, to be here with everybody and people try to bring up, different things to quotes to other people. I think Burrow is like, oh, I say I'm disappointed. I don't think he's disappointed in, Trey Hendrickson not being there. Now there's trouble in the locker room, like people try to make that out to be. And I know he's not about that noise either. It's just disappointing that all of this stuff has to go down to this. That's why he always put his foot forward before with the organization and said, listen, if you want to do stuff here, you got to pay these guys here that are with me. And they listened to him and they paid those guys. But I think it's crucial still to get the deal done with Trey Hendrickson, because I think he is one of the top tier pass rushers right now. And I think you still pay the guy because I still think he can play at an elite level. And he's kind of what got you here. He just needs some help because, you can't do it all on offense. We saw it all last year. What this team was doing, they're scoring 38 something points every single time and then still losing games. And that just makes it frustrating for the offense on top of it.
Let's just say this. Trey is a top 3 pass rusher in this league currently today. He's 31 years old, same age as TJ Watt. And by all means, last year, the freaking guy just, I don't know, led the league in sacks. Like, that's the ultimate stat that everybody goes to look at and say, just to kind of, for a lot of the fans out there, they kind of look at that stat like, oh, he's really good. He's really good by that just stat alone. But this guy's a all-around defensive end. This guy can play the run extremely well. He pass rushes. He gets into the heads of quarterbacks. And by all means, you cannot let this guy walk. The Cincinnati Bengals front office knows this. That's why they're trying so hard to get this deal done and moving forward. I think they actually do get this deal done when it's all really going to come down to right now is guaranteed money. Is they I know reports are out there saying they're so far apart. They're so far apart. I don't think it's that far apart. I think what it is there's a standstill right now in terms of how much guarantees Cincinnati Bengals want to give up and how much Trey Hendrickson is asking for. And that's really kind of where the speed bump is happening right now. So for Trey and the Bengals, absolutely you sign this guy because it's not too often, just like a quarterback, not too often you get your guy at that position. And by the way, is one of the best to do it in the NFL right now. So get the deal done. And we all know the Bengals also are one of the slowest front offices to get deals done. Everybody was waiting, him and hawing about the Chase deal, the T. Higgins deal, the Joe Burrow deal. And now it's all done. But now they got one more mountain to climb with Trey Hendrickson. One last contract to solidify it, move forward, and then make all the Bengals fans happy.
I don't disagree with you, Joe, but here's my thing, right? You mentioned the parallel to quarterbacks on offense, and I agree with you. On defense, your quarterback, so to speak, in terms of financial slotting, is always going to be your top pass rusher, whether it's a linebacker or D lineman, right? It's always going to be your best, the guy who can disrupt the other team's quarterback, right? So I agree with you on that. But here's something that, like, say, the Cowboys never seem to learn. The longer you wait, the more it'll cost you.
Correct.
Because there's no such thing as the price going down on these guys. It's not like running backs where they were up here, now they're down here. Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen anymore, right? Quarterbacks have been like this. Daniel Jones got what, $45 million guaranteed. Giants fans are still pulling their hair out of because that's just market rates. It's the cost of doing business, right?
Right.
So the fact to me that given that the Bengals are a historically tight organization when it comes to contracts and guaranteed money, to your point, they're historically slow, and they're very deliberate with all their contracts.
Yes.
This price, even if it's not total dollars in the organization's mind, is going up by the hour, right? Because they don't like giving that guaranteed money for defensive players past, their option years, right? So he wants what? 3 years guaranteed money, 2 years worth of guaranteed money. The Bengals want to front load it all into 1 year. That's a big deal for the Bengals because you never want to set the precedent. You might be, if you're an organization, you don't want to be the Browns because they were the first team to fully guarantee a quarterback money, right? They were the first team to say Deshaun Watson, forget how it actually turned out, right? But they were the first ones who broke league precedent to say 5 years, 230, it's all yours, right? And every other quarterback went, now we know what we're worth, right? Same thing with these D linemen, right? Like,
Right.
The Bengals, for their own organization at least, don't want to set this precedent where if you're the top player in any given year, you're getting guaranteed bucks. I almost have a feeling they'd rather go the opposite direction of Hendrickson. Hendrickson is saying, I'll give you a hometown discount if you guarantee my money past one season. I think the Bengals might be the opposite. They might be like, we'll give you a little bit more without the guaranteed past the one season, right?
I'll say this. The discount is out the window. That ship's sailed. Trey Hendrickson was willing to give them that discount early on in talks, but he said himself, when reporters were trying to interview him and get some more feedback from him, and he was like, listen, he goes, I think it's gone long enough. I mean, we should already have a deal done by now. I don't know what's taking so long, but we're still where we're at. And, maybe someone else will pay me. If they want to trade me, I don't want to be traded, but if that's the option, then we'll visit that when it comes.
Now, reportedly, Hendrickson and his agent did try to put some deals together, and they actually did. And they were sent. The Bengals front office was sent several proposals, and they turned them all down. Now, I don't know what those entailed, right? Maybe they were horrible offers. Maybe they were decent. We don't know.
No idea.
But they turned everything down, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think a lot of this is we got to teach this guy a lesson? Back in the day, guys, there were players who teams held on to them and were perfectly happy to let them sit a year because they knew that after the year they had to deal with the same team again. Like the free agency wasn't as loose, right? So, I mean, I can remember examples: Eric Dickerson, Mark Haynes at corner, right? They had him sit out a year because for NFL players, sitting out a year is like you might as well be shot in the leg at that point, right? Because the way the careers are, you can't afford to take a year off.
Right.
Do you think the Bengals are playing hardball? Are they trying to send a message by dragging this out with Hendrickson? Because I would think that if they had no intention of paying him his money, they would have taken the best trade available because someone would pony up for Hendrickson, right?
Oh, there was several teams when that was kind of whispered out into the atmosphere. Teams were like, "Oh, speed dial, call them right now. Like, let's see what they're asking for." Like, teams were excited when that was starting to bubble up in rumor. But I gotta say, like, I don't think this is a teaching moment for either side. I think this is one of those things where, like, the Bengals wanted to keep everyone, and with this salary cap era, it is extremely difficult to do so, especially when you have the likes of Joe Burrow, Chase, T. Higgins. You just gave them mega millions deals.
Right.
And now we're coming back to Trey Hendrickson where he's like, hey, listen, I led this league in sacks last year. I'm one of the best guys in the league to execute this position. Mm-hmm. So what are we going to do? Let's get this deal done. He wants to get it done. The Bengals, I know, want to get it done. But the one other thing that I'll say about their front office is we mentioned how slow they are. It's because they're doing the work of like half of what normal NFL teams have at their front office. In terms of personnel.
Roderick told us that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it makes sense that it might be taking longer than people like, and even for Trey Hendrickson. But now it's at the point in the year where we hit training camps, practices are happening. Jimmy just broke it and said that, like, hey, Trey Hendrickson is coming back. He's going to go back to training camp because he doesn't want to get fined $50,000 a day anymore. Mm-hmm. And, is trying to conserve those fines and keep that money. So Trey's doing his due diligence, right? Like he's going to come back to the team, be the responsible not free agent, but responsible player and come back to training camp. He's going to go through the drills and all that. And hopefully he's betting on this thing getting done.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could look at salary cap, whatever you want and stuff like that too. But how many times Joe and I have talked about it too, the fact that it doesn't even really matter. They're going to, any of these guys that work the money here, they could figure out a way to make sure that it's backloaded or whatever they can do. As long as it's guaranteed, they can work the numbers to where financially it fits. For him, it's about being taken care of while he's there and getting some recognition for what he's done even too. I mean, moving on from the Saints and now becoming here in Cincinnati, he's just been on a whole nother level here than what he was with the Saints. So they should look at it as, hey, we've gotten this guy on the cheap so far and what he's been able to produce for us. Yes, he wants to get paid and we need to be able to get some working pieces around him, but draft some good guys on defense here. Get him some young help, some young talent. You also didn't help him out by setting up and getting some guys to stay. Jesse Bates a few years ago, things like that. Some more pieces to work around him when the guy's just hauling it all himself back there, and get some help again. Because like I said, this offense can't do it all here, and he can't do it all as solely alone on defense here, but they do need him. If they have any kind of way, if they're going all in and putting the chips on all this offense and doing this, they need to take care of him. They need to bring him in here. Oh, it's all for nothing. This team will only go so far in the playoffs.
We've seen this too,
especially even last year. Just real quick, Joe, that defense wins championships, and they ain't got one. So
let's remember this too. Shamar Stewart was a guy that was taking forever to sign a deal.
Mm-hmm.
He just got his rookie deal done and agreed to.
Yeah.
And it's another guy that they drafted him for a reason to help Trey opposite him. So the pieces are coming together, but they're not going to come together fast. And that's the upsetting part of it for Bengals fans, is the fact that they have the offense to win now, but they don't have the defense to go with it. So the only way to execute this going forward is trying as best they can to get this Trey Hendrickson deal done tomorrow, next week, early next week, at some point in time, get it done. Because the only way they're going to be able to build the rest of this team, defensively, special teams, and otherwise, is through the draft. It's the only way they're going to be able to keep guys like Trey Hendrickson and so on and so forth. So
you're right. That's the blueprint for any NFL team, right?
Right.
It's like you got to pay for your quarterback. If you're lucky enough to draft your quarterback and you have that 5-year window, then you go all in on other positions, right? That's one blueprint, like the Eagles. Or the other blueprint is you pay for Mahomes, you pay for the head coach, you pay for your key pieces, and then just interchangeable, and you rely on your scouts and you rely on your coaching, right? Because you can't pay everyone. That's the reality of today's NFL.
That's why the draft is key.
The draft is key, right? So in terms of the Bengals, though, do you think? Okay, let me back up. I'm going to play sports talk call-in radio guy right now, right? Hey, Jim and Joe, what do you think? Should us Bengals fans go out? Should they go out and get Christian Wilkins? He's available. Can't we go out and sign him on the cheap? He's got his money guaranteed by, not guaranteed, but he's got most of his money guaranteed by the Raiders for this year, don't they? Why don't we go out and get him? Show some good faith towards Trey. Get him him a running guy in the middle, man.
I mean, the problem with that is we all need to see how that situation unfolds, because there's so much to that story that maybe some teams, obviously in the inner circle, they get a little piece of information here, a little piece of information there about said player. And Wilkins being one of those guys that I feel like there's going to be a couple teams right now that may be interested in him, but also there's a lot of teams that are saying, hold on a second, let's get all the facts first on what exactly transpired before we even call his agent. So, football wise, hell yeah. You go get one of the best D tackles in football.
Right.
But, with the situation going on, it adds a whole different variable to it. So it's like, no, we got to pause. We got to wait, see what happens with that whole scenario. And then if it's all free and clear, if everything is all good to go, then we can call his agent, bring him in for a visit and try to maybe work out a deal. Now, the crazy thing is that for the Bengals, especially, let's just say you get this Trey Hendrickson deal done. You're not calling Christian Wilkins to come play for you. His contract, or the next contract that he's going to be looking for, is going to be steep as well. So, again, that's going to come into play as well. Like, does he even want to go to? Obviously, you see the big mega deal he signed last year with the Raiders. Right. It's like, that's the kind of numbers he's looking for in the next one.
Right. But
Mm.
much like the Steelers last year, or was it 2 years ago with Russell Wilson, right? When they basically got him for nothing for 1 year, right? Because
Right.
the Broncos were paying the guaranteed portion of his
Mhm.
contract, right? So they signed him for the league minimum. What was it, like $500,000, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
they got a starter for
Yeah.
half a season out of it, right?
Yep.
Potentially, a team that signs Wilkins might be in the same boat as a 1-year rental, right? Which is, if you think you need that one extra, and look, for the Bengals, you guys said it, I believe it too, right?
Mhm.
They've got the offense to win now,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
They just need to be able to hold the team to, say, 35 points a game, right? Which sounds
Right.
almost goofy, right? But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey, if we could shoot for 35 points allowed per game, we have a decent shot at this thing. And maybe if you get Hendrickson rather back in the fold,
Mhm.
potentially you pair him up with Wilkins, even as a 1-year rental. Say you sign him for $2-3 million and just tell him, like, we'll take care of you next time around.
Yeah,
I don't see where that's a bad idea
I
potentially.
don't think that scenario will
Mhm.
apply with Wilkins because he's already filed a lawsuit against the Raiders because Raiders are looking to void his remaining guarantees. And if that in fact happens, because we still obviously don't know all the
Mhm.
details about what
Right.
transpired, um,
But he got his 20 million, right, for the year?
he got whatever
He got his first
he
installment,
got
right?
his
20
first
million.
installment, but that's it. So it's
Yeah.
like he wants the rest of that money, obviously. Um, but I don't think the way things are looking, he might not get it. And if that's the case, he's looking to get a payday. He's looking to get back into making that high bracket of money, where a 1-year contract, maybe you could entice him to do it, but it's going to cost you.
Mm. What do you I don't know. Do you guys think that Hendrickson's gonna be in a spot where he'll be like, okay, I'm sitting out. I'm just gonna show up for the last 6 games of the year, get my credit for the season.
Mhm.
And from the Bengals' point of view, if they're in the playoff hunt, is that the worst of things? Do you think?
Well,
I
that
don't.
I don't think
uh,
they're going to be in that playoff. They can't. They don't have that luxury. I don't think. Just you see how they start off slow every single year. It's
I was gonna
frustrating
Gotta play
every
catch
single
up.
year. They start off
You're
slow, so
right.
they're not like,
Yeah.
"Hey, sit out, go ahead." So we'll be there at the end. They
Right.
don't know that because they were even there at the end last year, and they looked so good. Joe Burrow was playing so well. He was MVP status, and
Yeah.
they missed it. They missed it, and this is what we're talking about. This is why you pay the guy. Looking at the top, DNs that are getting paid now and stuff like that, the teams appreciate and they know why they're there. They take care of the guys, and they even have other what people or helpers around them on the defense here. Look at the Pittsburgh defense here. It's so good that they are even willing to walk away from Minka Fitzpatrick and trade him away, but Trey Hendrickson, he's been able to perform, and he's basically the only guy they had to look at last year, and he was still
Right.
getting it done. So you're a playoff bound team, or you hope to be again. Again, in a flash, you don't look at it, and in these quarterbacks, they're not getting any younger either, and they're hungry. They want to be able to beat Patrick Mahomes and these guys, and the Chiefs are vulnerable right now. So any of these teams, the Ravens, the Bills, the Bengals, they're licking their chops right now. And when Joe Burrow told these guys again that, hey, we're going all in with these guys, we're making an honest push again because this is what it takes to get it done. It doesn't matter. You still got to give money to that defense. You got to give it to Trey Hendrickson too, because he's the one that helped get you there on the defensive side for what he was able to do. But again, offense cannot keep putting up 40 points and losing. That is ridiculous. You got to fix the defense here.
Yeah, yeah, and
Agree.
like we
You
were
can't go
talking
without
about
him.
earlier. We were talking about it earlier. You can't go without him, but that defense overall, on paper, with guys coming back healthy once again, maybe they can, start to show some promise this year. But again, the whole entire defense is suffering also because of the ideology of signing Trey Hendrickson. We saw them cut George Pratt,
Mm.
one of their
Mhm.
star-studded
Right.
linebackers on that defense, and no by no surprise,
Yep.
they gotta trim the fat somewhere to
Yep.
kinda make things work, and even though he didn't have, like, a humongous contract, every little bit helps and to try to shift that money over towards Trey and try to get the deal
Mhm.
done. So,
Mhm.
by signing him, it is also in fact hurting some areas of the defense at the same time. So, like we talked about earlier in this segment, the draft is key, and there's no quick fix to any side of the football. So, unfortunately, if they can get Trey Hendrickson done like we expect, then cool. But you still have to continue to build it in the next offseason.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a tough spot to be in, man, because right now, if you're talking about top 3, top 5 defensive end money, you're looking at what? TJ Watt, 3 years, 123, so that's a little over 40 million a year, right? For a 3-year deal.
Yeah, his
Miles
is looked at
Garrett,
about 30 something.
yeah, it was like I'm looking at 3 for 123, so that's what? 41 a year, right? Uh Miles Garrett got in at 4 years, 160. Now I'm just talking top line numbers, not talking guarantees or
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
what's
Yeah, yeah,
front
yeah.
loaded, back loaded, right? So the number seems to be about 40 million a year right now.
Mhm.
And for Hendrickson, it's not a one, he doesn't want a 1-year extension for 40 million, right? He
No,
wants 2 or 3
3 year.
years.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 years, 3 years at 40 million. If they do that now,
Mhm.
is the team better off? Because if you're tying up that money, you've already paid your triplets. A
Mhm.
substantial chunk of your salary cap is going to those
Yeah,
3 guys.
right.
You bring in Hendrickson, I'm assuming at that number somewhere. He's got to be at 39, 40, right? Somewhere in there for 2 years at least.
Maybe.
Are you better off, hey, telling Shamar Stewart, like, hey, man, you're in, trading Hendrickson, getting all the draft capital you can, and then and picking up whatever street free agents that are left that you think might have an impact, whether it's Wilkins or somebody else, and try to replace Hendrickson that way and save some dough. And to your point, Joe, look forward to next year and saying next year's the old defense draft. We just have to build up our capital, try to get a couple of extra
Mhm.
picks, and just, which again, to your point, is also hampered by the fact that they have half the scouting department of any other team
Right,
in the NFL, right?
right.
But I mean, because it seems like you're stuck in no man's. I mean, I'm trying to be fair to both sides.
Mhm.
Hendrickson as a player deserves his bag, but
Mhm.
also if you're the Bengals at this stage of the game, what do, man? Like you had those triplets last year, and you still didn't make the playoffs. We can
Mhm.
lose with you, we can lose without you too, right? So if
True.
that's the old saying, then the same applies to Hendrickson. We lost with you. We could lose without you. We can't get any worse without you because we were already giving up. I think Joe quoted 38 points a game. So why don't we trade him? Get the draft capital. See if the kids that we drafted, Stewart,
The
anybody else. I mean, is that an option for them?
Well, the crazy thing is there was a situation, and there's always a situation similar to this all the time in the NFL.
Sure.
Look back at Khalil Mack when
Hmm.
he was looking for
Mhm.
his new deal with the Raiders, and the amount of money he wanted was absurd to anybody in the
Right.
building. And they knew they couldn't really afford him and keep building that team, so they decided to trade him, get any draft compensation they could get, and still continue to build the team. Well, guess what? It didn't work with Khalil Mack, and it didn't work without him. They got all those draft picks and everything, and what's something that you can't guarantee is picking the right guy in the draft. So,
Absolutely.
even though it's a great idea to build further the defense and say, "Hey, let's get a boatload of draft picks for Trey, whatever we can get, and then look forward to next season." When you already have spent a ton of money on offense trying to win now, and I don't think ownership is gonna be
Mhm.
going for that kind of mindset because
Mhm.
you've already unloaded the money for offense. You know the offense is ready to win now, and now you're saying, "Oh, well, the defense, no, we got some draft picks. We got high draft picks now. We traded Trey Hendrickson, but now what this year? This year it's gonna be even worse. You're not gonna have that star-studded pass rusher on one side, and hopefully you're hoping that Shamar Stewart wakes up in his rookie year and helps on the other end. So, if you kind of like push, kick the can down the street a little bit more on defense, well, your defense still going to suck, and maybe even worse because you don't have Trey,
Mhm.
and your offense is going to score 40 points a
Yeah.
game, but you're never going to win a game. And
Right. Mhm.
it's almost like you have to like then you're almost pushing the franchise defensively anyway 5 years away from actually being any good. And in the end, when 5 years go by, with these athletes, you never know what's going to happen 5 years from now. Jamar Chase,
Right.
maybe he's injury riddled all of a sudden, and he can't stay on the football field. Or we all seen Joe Burrow, him get injured and missing some significant time, derailing the Bengals
Mhm.
offense
Mhm.
for seasons. So I think it's tough because in this NFL league that these players play in nowadays, in this new era, it's like we need instant results. We need to see production. And it sounds like the Bengals, sending all that money on the offensive side, locking those key players in, and now it's Trey's kind of like the last main guy left that they got to nail down to keep this thing afloat. I think it's a necessity for them, and they know that. And that's why I kind of really believe that they're working around the clock trying to get this deal done and get Trey to agree to it so they can move past this. And, the crosshairs aren't on the Bengals right now in terms of pressure from the rest of the league because other teams are watching this whole scenario unfold.
And it's sort of like what the
Yeah.
Browns had to deal with Myles Garrett, right? Because the question for them was, and I think Garrett is, he's 2 years younger. He's on a different level. He's a slightly above, I think, Trey Hendrickson. I think we can all agree to that, right?
Yeah, Garrett's one of the best for sure.
Right. So, and the Browns had to think long and hard about whether to trade him for those high draft picks. Like people were saying, we'll give you a first and a
Yeah,
third,
there was
a first and a second.
conversations.
Right. There were those conversations.
Mhm.
And around draft time, Joe, I'm sure you guys covered it during your live draft special, was do the Browns go for a Travis Hunter, trade Myles Garrett, get that extra first round pick, get that second pick in the top 5, right? There was all that talk.
Mhm.
In the end, the Browns said, no, we're keeping Garrett and we're paying him. And he's going to be a Brown. And whether you agree with that decision or not, I think they made the right move. But if you disagree with that decision, if you're a Browns fan, the one thing you got to like is they made a decision quickly, and they said and they did it before the draft, where they can then plan their draft around having Myles Garrett on the team. The Bengals really come off looking bad here as an organization, right? Because, like we said, when it comes to quarterbacks and pass rushers, the price tag keeps going up. It never goes down. Just like Jerry Jones learns with Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott, right? He's never learned his lesson in 30 years. He always thinks by waiting he's going to get a deal. He never does, right? It's always costing him more. So same thing with the Bengals here, man. Should they have done something prior to the draft, knowing that they had no intention of paying him what he wanted? Because this isn't new. We said back in March, his agent said, let us at least look for a trade.
Yeah, so I understand that. I mean, but they were trying. Like, it's not like, even though it wasn't reported, the Bengals front office was trying to sign everybody back. Even, you know what I mean? They were trying to work on deals and
but Joe,
send this over and that over.
Joe, do you really think they thought they were going to pay him his money with guaranteed money across a multi-year contract? I mean,
what do you mean?
Meaning, do you think the Bengals were really working on trying to get him what Hendrickson wanted, which was a multi-year guaranteed money contract? I don't think they have any intention of doing that for him. They're trying to work it out some other way, right?
Like not give him 2-3 years?
Yeah.
With guaranteed money
with
across
guaranteed,
all 3 years. Yeah, no, I think
I
they
don't
want
think here's the thing. I don't think it's like fully guaranteed type of contract deal that he's going to be getting. I think it's going to it's the final number of guarantees. He's looking for some kind of respect, in other words, in terms of how well he's played for them all these years and where he ranks right now in the NFL as being one of the top DNs in the league. And I think he wants to be paid. He doesn't have to be the highest paid. He just wants to be rewarded for being one of the best in that area. And I think that's kind of like the debate now, because for the Bengals side, it's 31, it's age. It's like, okay, well, how much longer can he play at this level? Do we believe that? Can he play for 1 more year, 2 more years? And then he declines. It's inevitable. It's father time. So, like, at some point for an athlete, you start to, miss a step, and right now it's the Bengals trying to figure out how much guaranteed money do we feel comfortable with to pay him. Are we willing to pay him in that top 5-ish area for guaranteed money to kind of make him feel good and say, okay, now you guys get it now. This is what I've been looking
Mhm.
for and
Yeah.
move forward. Or is that, I mean, obviously that's probably the sticking point, like we were mentioning earlier, is where he doesn't feel any of the offers that they've made kind of, saying, hey, really appreciate you. You're rewarded for being this top notch type of the end. And this is what we think. We want you to be part of the Bengals. Let's go. But everything that he's been sent, everything that obviously you just mentioned, Big John, that they've also sent offers from the agent to them and
Right.
they've turned them all
Mhm.
down.
Mhm.
That's kind of, this is where it's been. It's been like a tennis battle between the two sides as they keep, here, volley over there, volley
Yeah.
it back. And it's going back and forth. And now we're at a point where, we're about to reach the crossroads where a decision that might have to be a tough one for the Bengals, they may have to make, because if they can't get a deal done, we'll just say they can get a deal done by the end of training camp.
Mhm.
And we're going into week 1 of football.
It's tough.
Now you might
Yeah.
get into those conversations like you were talking about, Big John, where maybe we start thinking about trading.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I don't know, Jim, if you thought about this, but really, given the exact same age, given they're in the same division, it's funny we mentioned Garrett and Watt. It just occurred to me we're all talking about the AFC North in here, so
Yeah.
you're keeping up with the Joneses by if you do decide to keep Hendrickson, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the comp Watt's contract, TJ Watt's contract? They're the same age,
Mhm.
play the same position. Our friend William Del Pilar did us a favor and put those. He sent us that table of stats, and it's hard to tell who's who because they're almost identical based on 2024 results, right?
Right. And in that
Who's
fact, you would have to give Hendrickson the edge, even at this point.
slightly, yeah.
Mhm.
So, do you think the agent for Hendrickson is just saying like, okay, we really don't have to spend time negotiating about this. Here's the precedent. Because the NFL is a copycat league. Here's what TJ Watt got. Here's the numbers that line up. They're the exact same age. They play in the same division. They have to face each other twice a year. We'll take what Watt got. Do you think that's something that I mean, I'm sure it's been presented, right? But do you think that's something we land on if you're the Bengals?
Well,
Like
with the
Watt's
Bengals,
contract?
yeah, I think it's somewhere that's what they got to be looking for. I think it's going to be under because again, this is what the Bengals always try and do too. And I feel like the Bengals are kind of like you always talk about, cheap or whatever, this and this. It's like they wanted to keep him. I don't think it's like all of a sudden they're like gonna be like, oh, there was thoughts that maybe we don't want to keep him
Right,
and blah blah
right.
blah. I think they always have intentions like they want to, but they're kind of like, again, somebody who's got the money, but they're kind of like penny pitchers, like, I don't know though, because they want to, like, do we want you? But that's a lot. Like, I don't know, man. This and this, and this is what it's always like with them. It's the hemming and hawing. They're still going to do it, but they don't really want to put up and get rid of it. They got it, and they will, I think. But they still will keep going for that low ball, whatever they can, just to save that penny. And I think that's what some of this type of issues are with these guys. So I don't think it's a lack of like, well, if they don't like it, then whatever, we'll just get rid of them. We don't, and it's not like Joe said here too. I don't think that at all we're like kind of like, well, we could go without you and then we'll build that defense or whatever slowly. Like I kept saying, it's like that window's here and here it is. You got to bring them along for the ride. And then if you avoid a couple of years or even next year, say you sign them on, you give them some guaranteed money that's just under TJ Watt. If I look at it right now, Josh Hines-Allen is second right now in fully guaranteed money, right underneath TJ Watt. So, and he's at like 88 million, somewhere around there. So, because if Trey Hendrickson's guys are in the negotiation room, and they're even saying that, hey, these guys, the Giants guarantee, and Brian Burns money too. It's like, you got to take care of our guys. We're not talking about TJ Watt here, but I want to be around here respected more than what these guys are. So I'm talking in somewhere a little bit more than that. But I don't think that they would ever be like, oh, let's just go without them and then we'll rebuild because the window will be gone. All the money that they just invested in all those guys on offense will be a wash if they think that this defense is going to kind of build itself somehow without that guy as a cornerstone piece. And I think you got to look at him as one of these top elite guys right now, at least for the time being. This is the way the league is set. You got to do it. You got to pay him now because we've seen it also with the Rams. How many times they've kind of gone over and folded money over and go on in, and it paid off. Whether it's for one Super Bowl this year and they don't for another decade or whatever, they still went in and they got the Super Bowl right now. Whatever happens after that whatever happens after that, who cares, right?
But on the other side of that coin for the Rams, they also drafted way better. Like they had a quicker turnaround on
for right now
than we thought they would, and they're a lot younger and definitely a better team altogether. So,
well, that helps, right? I mean, all we have to do is look at the Eagles, right? Like every year, you're like, oh man, they're up against the cap. What other moves can they make? And then Howie Roseman pulls something off, right? So it can be done. And maybe front offices need to take the accountability that we expect of players, right? So if the front office is like, Jim will feel this pain. When you look at the Giants, they're constantly in salary cap hell. And every Giant fan says, why? Where is this money going to? I don't see any of it, right? And the Bengals might find that, like, the Bengals are in a slightly different position because you could see where a lot of their money is tied up on offense. And you're like, all right, we've got the skill position players. We had to build up the offensive line to protect our investment in Burrow, so that made sense. And now you're looking at the defense, and you're like, all right, we spent a first-round pick on a D lineman. We're working on the defense, and then you can't take care of business at home with Hendrickson one way or another, whether it's sign him, trade him, keep him happy, whatever. And in some way, you just say same old bungles. It's just they always find themselves in these types of positions.
They do in a sense, but the thing that I think is changing in Cincinnati is the way they handle their team overall. Yeah, they might be slower still, but they paid Burrow. They paid Chase.
Yes.
They paid T. Higgins. I didn't think they were going to pay T. Higgins, to be honest. I thought they were willing to let him go into free agency.
I honestly thought they were going to let Higgins walk and sign Hendrickson right away.
And
that's the move
they
that
let it happen.
shocked me. Yeah, that's
they locked him up because look it. They understood that those guys are their prime players right now, and they're all young. So it's like it's a no-brainer to re-sign them, of course, because of how good they are. But at the same time, they paid big money to keep all of them.
I know, man, and this is hindsight, now, Joe. But you know what, Joe? Hindsight. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like you got me bubbling right now. Like the truth of the matter is, though, in hindsight, receivers are easier to replace than, like, a good receiver is easier to replace than a good pass rusher. And let me take that even a step. A great receiver is easier to replace, I think, than a great pass rusher.
Not the special ones like Jamar Chase.
No, not Jamar Chase. I'm talking about T. Higgins.
T. Higgins.
I'm talking about T. Higgins. Is very good. He's very good.
Really good player for himself as well. So
but that's the comp I'm saying. Like, you know how the Giants had to choose between Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, and they chose Jones, but which all other things you would say, yeah, I'd rather take my chance on the quarterback. I mean, those of us who knew better. Same thing with Higgins and Hendrickson, right? I think we're talking about like where Hendrickson is a top 5 D end. You look at Higgins, you say maybe he's a top 10 receiver overall.
Yes.
So is it easier to replace a top 10 receiver in the NFL? Whether it's a rookie or a veteran, or is it easier to replace a Hendrickson?
That's the thing of it too is it came down to a decision in terms of age. Like that's the other part of it is that T. Higgins is young, still in his prime, mid-20s. Like it was a no-brainer. Like, yeah, we're gonna have this guy way longer. He's gonna provide way more or long-term productivity for us. Yeah, hell yeah, let's sign T. Higgins. And yeah, we still want Trey Hendrickson. Unfortunately, he was kind of like the guy in the back burner, so to speak. And like, because he's 31, we're not really sure. The Bengals weren't really sure, like, well, how much are we going to pay him? How long do we make this contract for? Do we front load it? Do we pay everything all in 1 year? Like, what do we do? And now we're at a point where this is the last egg to crack. This is the
Right.
last thing that they got to do before the season to make every Bengal fan happy. And unfortunately, it's taking so long, but we'll see if they can get the deal done in the end.
Yeah, and the thing with Higgins, I mean, that's loaded with bonuses everywhere, and in the fact that he's even got, you know, per game bonuses on top of things too. They know that he's injury prone here, there too. So all those other incentives have brought into that contract. So it wasn't like the Higgins deal was a game breaker for getting in, you know, Hendrickson and things like that either. So I mean, that was just kind of to keep Joe Burrow happy and keep the group together. You know, keep the band together like he wanted. And I don't think it was like a deal breaker for anything here. So,
yeah. And real quick,
Mhm.
for what we're looking at, like I'm actually kind of looking at some of the stats for like average annual salary.
Yep.
And TJ Watt is number one at 41 million on average.
On
Garrett's
average.
40.
Yep.
Right after that, there's an argument to be made for Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
Because you have Daniel Hunter as third
Daniel
with
Hunter,
35 and a half.
Yep.
So maybe they could get a deal in the 37 to 38 million dollar range. Maybe. And try to make
that's
it
what
work out.
it's got to be between that 38, 40 million, I would think, is what Hendrickson's looking for. And I would guess minimum 2-year extension, but I would think
Yeah. I think
3.
3 years, and that last year might end up being kind of one of those voided years, or just kind of like one of those years where they can get out of the contract.
Yeah, the fake year at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, we've got a comment here from Linda with us here in the house tonight.
What's going on, Linda?
Hey, Linda. It says both Hendrickson and Watt posted just 4 sacks from weeks 11 to 18. Clear late season fade. Steelers season seemed to pay Watt's legacy, which again is a good point right there. Not future output. That screwed over the Bengals front office. To an extent, again, too, and again, whether it's being the fact that they don't have a lot of personnel working the deals or this and this or whatever, how long it's taken to get things done, negotiations, whatnot. It just takes what it is. And I think that's going to be part of the conversation too, right? I don't think Trey Hendrickson's like, you know, or even the Bengals are like, hey, we're going to pay you for your legacy or even this or that. And he's like, I want this. But he just feels, again, the fact that, hey, I've been putting out since you guys got me here. Yeah, you gave a shot at me. Here I am. I'm doing it. I'm older, and I've just led the league. So what else do I got to say right now? You know what I mean? I've been healthy too. So, you know, what's the problem? You know, let's get it done. And I feel like they want to, but again, it's the fact that they want to still get that deal. You know what I mean? It's that person that's always shopping for the high price stuff, but like, oh man, you really got to give me this much, you know? It's like, oh yeah, it's a Ferrari. Like, yeah, but what about this? You know what I mean? Like, come on, you know?
But the Steelers' identity is their defense. They've always been,
right.
I mean, their identity historically, like a handful of teams in the NFL, the Bears, the Giants, has always been tied into their defense, not so much their offense. And this year, you could also see that they don't have the kind of investment in their offense that the Bengals do, right? So they could afford, and very clearly based on need as well, they can afford to pay what they paid, right? To keep their fan base happy. It's a Steeler tradition, and we had some more wiggle room considering that we're not paying top dollar for a quarterback. You know, yeah, we've got Metcalf, but that's about it, right? So I think it's a slightly different situation, but you're right. If you're looking at the individual player outside of the context of the team and the payroll, they are very similar. And you would think that. Plus, another thing, see, I keep waffling. Another thing in Hendrick's favor is he did it on his own, man. Watt has good players around him on that Steeler defense. Good complementary pieces, solid pieces. Not so for who was it? Carlos Dunlap? Was he like the only guy maybe on that defensive line?
Yeah, Hubbard, and now he even retired too, you know, so now he got his money off there too. So,
that's
the thing. Exactly.
Hendrick was doubled, and you know he was the target of the offense, right? So there's a lot. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I look at it too. It's like, say you bring him in and you front load it, whatever you got to do. What else brings other veterans when it comes to free agency and stuff like that? Veteran, other pass rushers or something. You just saw Von Miller. sign with another deal here to try and make another run at another Super Bowl if he can, for whatever he might have left in the tank. They're paying him, a minimum, what I mean? So you're still getting guys that are kind of like, well, he can add them, it's not going to kill us. There's an upside, we're not losing anything on this one. And if you win like that and you do that, people will just still want to come, what I mean? You'll still try and get those deals done. So I feel like in turn, if they do this and say they go on a winning, say they make it to the AFC Championship game, you can't tell me that there aren't going to be some veterans here that'll work out a different deal in free agency to say, well, I want to go play there then. I want to go there. That's a destination. I got cool Joe cool and right there, bro, with everybody. Got Jamar Chase in offense.
Yeah, that ain't the Bengals though. That's the problem. That ain't
the other.
Bengals,
I'm just saying they're trying to change things, right?
Trying to change things, but the thing is you get this Trey Hendrickson deal done. You're not going fishing in free agency too often.
Yeah,
you're. I understand what you're saying. You're going to have an attraction for other free agents to come to Cincinnati, but are they going to be high enough tier guys to kind of make a huge impact on that defensive side? Like, and if so, they're also going to be looking for money. They won't be given a discount. So, in the end,
we'll see.
Plus,
go ahead.
I was going to say, plus, you become a destination team when other players want to go there to play there, and they but also when they get the sense that management is interested in winning, right? So it was different when the Packers went and got Reggie White, right? Because back then nobody wanted to go to Green Bay. It's cold, the players never felt at home in Wisconsin, and it took Reggie White going there and paying Reggie White, not giving him grief and saying like, we want you here. The problem with the Bengals is even if they end up paying Hendrickson, who the hell wants to go through what Hendrickson went through to get his bag? No player wants to go through that because now the Bengals have this reputation. We're going to fight you for every penny. And even if you end up getting it, it's going to be like pulling teeth. So if we were talking about Christian Wilkins earlier, right? Christian Wilkins. Why would Christian Wilkins want to come to Cincinnati if he had any choice? Like, other than they threw a whole bunch of money at him, which the Bengals won't do. So why would this Cincinnati become a destination? See, the way you treat your players goes beyond the actual contract. It's like, how easy is it? How is it to deal with? To your point, Joe, earlier, Jimmy, earlier, are they showing respect? Are they treating players unlike cattle? You want to treat them like they're people and not cattle. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we've talked about this as a particular topic up and down, left and right. So he is showing up now. At least he's kind of putting that foot forward. But then Joe also says too, he doesn't want to continue to get fined either on this whole situation here too. Teammates, I'm sure, will be happy to see him over there. I'm sure he's not going to practice at all, but at least he'll be showing up a little bit. And it kind of reminds me too of the fact, when we talk about contracts and Micah Parsons, right? I even found out a little tidbit too, the fact that Micah Parsons, seeing as though is that he showed up, right? And now he's talking about maybe not showing up anymore for a few days or something like that. Like if he happens to miss more than 5 days, technically the Cowboys can put him on the reserve, like retired list. And like all of a sudden, I mean, that's crazy. Like there's things like that. So
they won't do that though.
No, they wouldn't do that though. But that's the funny thing about this. And this is what we're talking about always. Players do have some, negotiations, or they do have some leverage. They just got to use it properly, right? Because the teams want them there. You can't tell me that all of a sudden the Cowboys would be like, oh yeah, forget you then. We don't need you. Like John was talking about back in the day, maybe, they would say, oh, we're going to sit you for a year then. Too bad. It ain't happening this year, bro. I mean, they can talk it all they want, but they're desperate. They just, championships don't come easy now.
Money talks and bullshit walks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
Bottom line.
Not just in football, brother.
yeah, exactly.
That applies everywhere.
Everywhere. Absolutely. Yeah. So you bring up Christian Wilkins too. So we're moving on to the next segment here, John. So I don't know if you want to stick around with us or not. You want to move on to this? You want to talk about Christian Wilkins a little bit? Seeing you brought him
Fellas,
up.
it's your show. If you want me around, I'm happy to stay. If you can't stand the sight of me, I'm also cool with that. So you let me know.
All right. Well, let's bring up Wilkins here with us and see what your take is on this whole thing. And then we'll kick you the hell out of here and talk about some training camp stuff. How about that?
Cool.
All right. So you talked about Wilkins maybe potentially, hey, let's go grab him then. Why not? He might be out, he's out there doing his thing and stuff. But Joe's got the scoop of that, our hometown Raider fan here with the Blindside Blitz. So he's got the scoop all on Christian Wilkins. And there it is, Christian Wilkins and the weird world he lives in. And it all ended with a kiss.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Story keeps getting stranger and stranger every hour. It started off as a video got released by one of the players. They were videotaping, Christian Wilkins in the gym when everything was kind of like shut down. They were hanging out in the gym, but he was dancing. Like he wasn't injured. Like everything's all good.
Mhm.
And he's dancing with I think it was another player in the room too. And Raiders saw that, and that's kind of like what sped the whole process up to like saying, "Hey, you know what? You're fired. Get out of here. We don't want you." So that was kind of the first little thing that we saw on the outsiders looking into this whole deal. But then other weird details are starting to kind of creep out. So now people are saying like this guy kind of like playfully kissed another player on his forehead, which when you think about that, it's like that's not a big deal. Like whatever, like he was joking around. But now it's like they're alluding to a lot more weirder stuff that happened, and it's not just those two incidents. The Raiders also wanted to have him another surgery because they said it didn't heal back right, and he refused. He absolutely refused to see another doctor, have another surgery.
Right.
So this has been a very strange situation, and the Raiders are no, strangers to this kind of action. And the whole weird thing that happened with Antonio Brown leading to his release, and it's kind of like a weird deja vu incident all
Right.
over again, but with a different player. So we're still waiting to hear more details as they come out, but there's a couple of different sources that are kind of given two different stories, and one is basically saying, "I'm not repeating what I heard," and that's how weird it is. So
Right.
I don't know if we're ever going to find out all the details, but I know that it is very intriguing to find out what, in fact, Christian Wilkins, what his actions were, or what he did or said in the Raiders facility, what transpired. But until then, we're all waiting and can't wait to find out what exactly happened in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like it's almost like that, like they said, the video that's there, they're like, oh, he's injured, but he's still doing this. So all right, we've got reason to believe that we can move something on this, or but whatever, we'll work through this. And then you're hearing the other stories again, the emotional weird stuff. Now even defensive tackle Adam Butler had said, he's bringing on stuff that people weren't even talking about. He's like, hey, well, you got stuff going on in your life and this, and you need to talk to somebody in this. So, and other people have now coming out just hours ago saying about, hey, maybe he's suicidal and all this other crap too. So maybe he's got just some weird shit going on in his brain right now, and a lot of stuff going on outside of things, and doesn't know what to do with his emotions. He's kind of weirded out, and that's what I mean. It kind of took it to a different level with somebody else where, like, again, people said, hey, he was trying to be playful, but I don't know anybody that's playful in an NFL locker room. Like, I don't know that's the time to be playful with people, right, Joe?
I don't know.
So,
and that's the funny thing is we don't know the player. Obviously, they're keeping that under wraps. But the Raiders have been very, very silent. Like, there's not really any
no comments, all this.
Yeah. Like, they're keeping a can on it. And, again, something is going to come out to where everybody's digging, right? Like, all the journalists out there, all the reporters, like, even people with contacts in the building are trying to get any kind of info that they can. And it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds at the very end, because will this hurt Christian Wilkins' ability to sign with another team this year? I mean, depending on what the severity of all these actions are, or is it kind of a thing where it was overblown and Raiders maybe quickly reacted to something that isn't really a big deal, which would be kind of a moronic move. But
Yeah.
again, like it's just an awfully strange situation. And until we get all the details, it's hard to figure out.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it just seems like, there could be something underlying that we're not knowing about, and just took something like this to come out, and they're like, all right, but that's the one. That's the one we
There's
can say.
this, there's
That's
that.
that's the straw that broke the camel's back, right? And
A
it's like,
guy,
here we
I
go.
mean,
We'll just do
yeah.
this. But
And that's the other thing is like, I don't know if it was a player that got kissed on the forehead or maybe someone else, but somebody went to HR.
yeah.
Someone went to human resources and filed a report on Christian. So
Mhm.
it's getting weird in Vegas.
Yeah,
from going on.
it's something like this that we haven't seen since when the Miami Dolphins. Remember that situation with Richie Incognito and everything, and
Oh,
all the
yeah,
whole,
The
picking
bullying.
on this guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
bullying,
bullying
yeah.
and
Yep.
stuff like that. So this is like almost like on the opposite spectrum. It's like
Mhm.
almost being too on the opposite side, too touchy feely or something, or he's got something else going on. So it will be interesting, and will we even find out what really truly transpired anytime soon, or will it come out now that he has filed his grievance to try and combat the whole being
Try to
cut and all
retain
that
his
stuff, and his
guaranteed
money,
money.
retain his money. So
Right.
maybe it'll come back in that dispute. But
See, these things are always to me very interesting because it's almost like a chess game, right?
mhm.
I think the fact that the Raiders are pretty much keeping quiet about specifics means to me they're lawyering up for something,
Mm.
right? They don't want to say anything that'll be used against them, right? So
Mhm.
total speculation. I think they're lawyering up, right? Whatever it is that they think Wilkins has done, whatever it may be, they're not talking about it because they don't want to give anybody a chance to contradict themselves or anything like
Right.
that in court.
Right.
So I don't think we're going to hear too much for them until they're ready to just drop the bomb, drop the hammer,
Yeah.
so to speak,
Plus,
right?
it's because it's a contract issue now.
It's a
It's
contract.
not
Well,
just it's
right,
not just releasing the player and saying, okay, yeah, we still got to pay him the rest of his
right.
guarantees. They
Mhm.
seem to think that whatever the action was to lead
But
to this release,
they're going to claw
that it
back
was
some
so
money.
right.
Yeah.
It was so serious to the point where like, okay, well, detrimental to the team.
Well,
And then because of that, we're gonna take the rest of your guaranteed money.
also, guys, wasn't it also a case that Wilkins wasn't like he didn't rehab with the team. He rehabbed on his own. I think.
Mhm.
I think he
Mhm.
didn't use the
Mhm.
doctors the team wanted him to. Like, there's all that
Mhm.
sort of thing going on.
Mhm.
Right.
Like, let's face it, when Aaron Rodgers does that, we kind of just say, that's Aaron Rodgers, and the Packers let him get away with it. The Jets let him get away with it.
Right.
The Raiders clearly are not putting up with that from Wilkins, right? On the
Right.
surface, at least. This other stuff, you don't know. I mean, look, you're right, Joe. Like anybody who's played football or any other team sport's been in the locker room knows there's all sorts of weird horseplay that takes place.
Mhm.
Usually you don't run to HR about it. I don't, I mean, somebody my age, the whole
Yeah.
thing's laughable, right? Like,
Right.
what did
Yeah.
he do? He snapped me with a towel?
Right.
HR,
Right.
it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what are we
Yeah.
going to do, right?
That's
I
why
yeah,
that's why I
you're right.
think I don't think it's that playful.
No,
I think that's what's being kind of let out for maybe a player said something like that, like, it wasn't much or anything, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
But I think there has to be something more serious to this whole situation.
I tend to agree, or at least the allegations are more serious than what's
Yeah.
being. I agree with you, and somebody's lawyering up. But also
Mhm.
on Wilkins' side, if you think about it, if he's got good representation, they may be telling him like, "Listen, if you effed up along the way, shut your mouth, shut your pie hole at this point, because what you think you're going to lose with the Raiders is nothing compared to all the future contracts you're going to
Right.
lose,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So they've got a strategy here that's got to be like, hey, Christian, did you kiss a guy on top of the head? Like, did you grab somebody's butt or did you whip a towel at
Yeah.
somebody?
Right.
Like, whatever it may be,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
keep it to
Mhm.
yourself. And if it ends up costing you 10, 20 million at this point, yeah, that's a lot of scratch. But guess what? Consider it a lesson. Because if you start
Mhm.
complaining about it now,
Mhm.
what other NFL team's going to touch you?
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
You don't want to become Antonio Brown after he walked off, what was it, halftime against the Jets, right? When he was with the
Mhm.
Buccaneers, just took
Right.
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
shirt
Yep.
and walked off. See you later, right? Like, you don't want to
Mhm.
become that guy. Who was the guy that quit mid-game with the Bills? Like, when was that Avante Davis?
Oh,
Like,
no, the
Yeah,
49ers.
no, the 49ers,
The
yeah.
linebacker for the
49ers.
49ers, Devondre Campbell.
Devondre Campbell
Yeah,
did that, but a couple of years ago, the Bills had somebody too. At halftime, it was a tight end. I could have sworn, not Vontae Davis. Who was the Vernon Davis? Didn't Vernon Davis quit at halftime? I could be wrong. I hope I'm not maligning the guy. But we've seen this, right? Where once your reputation goes, like, who's going to sign Devondre Campbell now and expect him to contribute, right? So because he's proven he's not trustworthy. So I think there's a great deal of strategy going on now, as interesting as it sounds. Both yes, thank you, Joe. It's a chess match between Raiders and Wilkins. Both of them have you would hope that they could be adults and say, all right, let's meet somewhere quiet, no press.
Yeah.
Let's maybe split the difference. Like, I'll give you back half and we'll go our separate ways, and we'll sign an NDA and keep our yapper shut, just go from there, man.
Yeah, because the fact they bring him in, he played 5 games injured, and now they're willing to walk away. It seems very odd, like what really transpired there.
How huge of a signing was that last year? Remember, everybody said, wow, the Raiders are serious. They signed the best young D tackle on the market, right? They're serious this time. They're getting Crosby help, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. We'll follow it as it goes. But yeah, we'll see. I think some of that stuff won't come out until, again, when we see everything get panned out.
We'll forget about this, and we'll start to hear details after the season's over.
Yeah,
I think you're right, Joe. Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah. All right. So before we move on to our next segment, John, why don't you lead us out of this one and tell everybody where you can actually find more episodes of the Blindside Blitz and more podcasts just like ours at Grumblings Media.
Sure. It's time for my favorite part of any show. It's the pimping time of the show. So come to Grumblings Media, grumblingsmedia.com. We have all sorts of podcasts, all sorts of great content. Everybody knows that. Blitz Nation, you know where your boys can be found at Grumblings Media, every major platform, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X. Don't forget, X is growing for us like gangbusters, guys. 18,000 other guys. Blitz Nation on YouTube. Can't be wrong. You follow us. Also, make sure, hey, I'm going to pimp a little for my shows. Free for All every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, live. Get us your questions. Wednesdays, I have my interview show with Mike Termott, former VP of the Libertarian National Party, VP candidate, rather. We do something called Liberty Lens and other great shows. We also have politics, sports. So guys, thank you so much for having me on. Every so often you make me feel like a kid again by talking about my roots, which is pro football. Thanks for having me on, guys, and peace to everyone. Peace, Blitz Nation, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
See you later, John. It's good. Always a pleasure having you on here.
All right,
definitely.
Fellas. Peace out.
All right, John, Big John. That's right. A legend in Sirius XM radio and football talk and everything else out there. So it's a pleasure for him to be on there with us. And he talks about the old school stuff. He's an old school guy too. That's what I mean. When you bring up like even Vernon Davis to some people, they're kind of like, who the hell is that? You know? So yeah, exactly. So it's good. It's good stuff though. Cause again, he's an old school guy. And to hear that different mentality, because that's what I mean. When we were talking about, he's talking about a team potentially just, hey, well, we'll just set this guy for the season. That isn't happening now, dude. You know what I mean? The teams know that these guys are too valuable. That, yes, they want to dick around with the contracts and all this other stuff or whatever, but the players are there. They need to have them there. They know how important it is for them to be on the team. They're not just going to say, hey, all of a sudden, you know, we're going to take you out of here. You know what I mean?
Right on.
So even though that does hurt a player too, I mean, look at what you call it for the Steelers did it before. One running back was it LaShawn? What the hell was his name? I can't remember now. See, this is what I mean. You forget these guys. There was the running back for the Steelers, but he was one of the only ones that said, "Hey, listen, I'm just gonna not show up for the whole season. I'm gonna take a season off." Le'Veon Bell. There you go. Le'Veon Bell. I'm going to take the whole season off myself. And then when he even came back, he wasn't the same guy. You know what I mean? So there's a big difference when all that stuff happens. So players don't want to do it. Teams don't want to do it.
Yeah, it costs them too much money. It hurts them in the pocket. So
big time. All right. So Joe, let's talk about some of the biggest storylines coming up through training camp right now. In a segment we like to call Quick Slants. That's right, Joe. So some major some injuries going on. You're like quick slants. It's like what's that? What's that?
I like the
what's
sound
that?
effects.
What's that? No, or is it? What do I do with my hands? Right? No. Spaghetti arms or whatever. But
Yep.
so let's talk about even about some injuries here. Yeah, there you go. Big John's right there. He's got me covered too, Le'Veon Bell. See, I know stuff, but then I forget sometimes because we talk about so many goddamn teams and we're doing it for so long, man.
Yeah. So first thing, like we'll go Dallas Cowboys is
Cowboys,
tackle Tyler Guyton, reportedly going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a leg injury. He did not tear his ACL like it was initially reported. So some good news for the Cowboys. Unfortunately, still the injuries there.
Yeah.
He's going to be missing some time, but at least it's not going to be like, the whole year.
Yeah, exactly.
Titans waived. Finally. This is one of our cuts, by the way, Jim.
It was.
Traylon Burks, who fractured his collarbone over the weekend. He also cleared waivers. So, yes, they did do an injury settlement, and he's free to sign with anybody, but nobody's interested.
Nobody. Yeah, that's what's funny because I even thought, I'm like, do we at one point, are we going to have that Traylon Burks landing spots? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I think he's going to go try and find a landing spot somewhere next season, trying to make a roster or whatever. But we talk about busts, when we talk about that draft, he was on there. And like you said, also our roster cuts. A lot of these are coming true, Joe. What about Cordarrelle Patterson? He was a roster cut that we had too as well, and there he is. Lo and behold, he's the one that breaks the story. How about that, Joe? Like a lot of times they get somebody else breaking the story, and they're like finding out, like what or what the hell happened, or you just get a phone call. He tells everybody, "Hey, man, this is what happened."
Character for sure.
Yeah. So Cordarrelle Patterson too, his career has come to an end, and like again, we talked about it in our roster cuts too. We saw it coming. He was able to extend his career as long as he could, especially going along with Arthur Smith, to find his place there. But a good career though, coming to an end now.
Over in Indianapolis, the Colts sign and give a huge extension, $100 million deal and $60 million guaranteed to none other than Bernard Raymond. They love themselves some Bernard, and he's there to stay in Indy. This is kind of one of those deals where like it was expected, but at the same time, I mean, I think that's a little bit steep of a contract for Bernard. But hey, they trust in him for sure.
He wasn't the highest paid, right? But he was like the third highest paid, like offensive lineman maybe or something like that. I know he was up there.
Money.
Yeah. I know that much.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Speaking of money, one of my top 3 quarterbacks this year, Baker Mayfield, reportedly reworked his contract to get him $30 million guaranteed in 2026. So Buccaneers cashing in, giving this guy some money, locking him in. Cortland Sutton's also another guy that kind of got locked in by the Denver Broncos, agreeing to a 4-year deal, $92 million contract after all the crazy trade rumors that were swirling about. The Broncos lock in their guy.
Yep, and we talked about that like last week, I think it was even too, when we were discussing teams on our other show on the Football on the No show. When we were talking about Broncos' biggest questions. What are they going to do? His contract is going to be expiring pretty soon. They got to lock him in. They didn't wait till the season. They're doing it right now. Here they go. So absolutely,
the good teams. I should say this: the well-run front offices get the deals done earlier than later. That's bringing us to Terry McLaurin. Got a little bit of news from him, what he's expecting. We were trying to guess like about where he fits in that wide receiver spectrum. Well, kind of fit right in line with what we were thinking. He's wants more kind of like what DK Metcalf got, $33 million on average per year in his new Commander's contract. Hopefully that deal's going to come all to a close and get that thing done. He also ended his hold in is like the new term. So he ended his hold in and is practicing with the team.
Yeah, I like it.
Likely. And Jim, all I got to say is on our show, we seem to kind of read the tea leaves in the NFL. And here it is once again. Likely to trade one of the 4 quarterbacks that they have at their disposal. So, Shador, is it going to be Shador? Is it going to be Joe Flacco? Is it going to be Dylan Gabriel? Or is it going to be Kenny Pickett? So again, we kind of alluded this to happening because there's no way you're keeping 4 quarterbacks going into the season. You know, you drafted 2,
Yeah,
you traded
right.
for Pickett, you brought in Joe Flacco, signed him to a deal. So who's it going to be?
Yeah, and what's kind of funny, I think, too, there's a couple of different things to this. Well, Kenny Pickett's banged up and injured right now, so you exactly can't trade him until he can pass a physical, right? So that's one thing for them. And I think noticing too, more along the lines of when people talk about the Browns, they automatically have Shador Sanders as like the quarterback, like, you know, when they talk about Browns, and then there he is against whatever other team starting quarterback and stuff like that. So teams are already telegraphing what they feel like, because or not teams, the media is already telegraphing what they already, their opinion. They're sticking to this opinion that he was going to be a great prospect. He should have been the starter, and they're banging
No
this
way.
thing to where they're showing pictures nonstop about this guy. And now they're automatically knocking them too if he's not going to be the starter, if he's not going to do this, and they're stupid if they do this. So, for
Jim.
me, I think yes, they brought Joe Flacco in, and I get that, you know, veteran presence. Maybe you can learn something. Maybe they bring him in to try and do something with this team, because that defense under Jim Schwartz is good. And yes, you've got you know, Myles Garrett there too, which is good. They locked him in, but that's the difference between those guys and the Bengals. When John talked about the Bengals, what they should do and this, and, you know, sort of like the Browns or whatever, I think the Browns are in a different spectrum. Browns aren't the Bengals. They're not making a run for the playoffs, really. You think Joe Flacco is going to do that? So if anything, I just say with them, if you put in all your money in Kevin Stefanski and you really believe in him and this regime and what he's going to do, and you're locked into him, that you think that he can actually do something with one of these guys, I'm saying screw it. I'm saying Joe Flacco, go somewhere else, and let's see what happens with the rookies and play them all through the season. Because at one point, you got to see what you're going to do now, right? You would figure, to see if you drafted one of your future quarterbacks right now, and if your team sucks, you've got some quarterbacks next year again. Why not take another swing?
I got news for you, Jim. Shador sucks. And even though you're seeing these so-called highlights, guess what, everybody? He's playing with the 3rd team. He hasn't even made a rep with the 1st team. This dude he's so low on the depth chart, you can't find him on the roster. Like, he is being outplayed by Dylan Gabriel, was being outplayed by Kenny Pickett until he got injured. And then Joe Flacco easily is ahead of everybody. So this whole, like, trying to spin Shador, and I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to hype him up and make him better than what he actually is. But, dude, the guy hasn't played with any of the first team rep. He hasn't any first team reps or first team players. So it's all bullshit. And, you know, I think when it comes down to it, I think it's going to be down to make possibly Kenny Pickett might be the one that ends up getting traded after he comes back from his injury.
Right. I mean, that does make sense there too, because
You're not
again, that's
going
kind of
to
the odd man out.
Yeah, you're not going I mean, I don't envision them moving on from one of 2 of the rookies they just drafted and got into camp. You
Right.
know,
Right.
I think it's at that point it's a waste. So I
Yeah.
think you're going to want to develop them further, and that's probably what I expected for the most part.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to do that, because then I mean, we already know they're kind of a messed up franchise as it is, right? You know, dysfunctional a little bit. And they've already kind of messed up. And not only did you have egg on your face to where you know, drafted Dylan Gabriel here first, and then all of a sudden later on you grabbed another quarterback within the same draft. But now to admit that maybe you're just like, God, one of these guys isn't it, and you want to trade one away already and give up. I mean, that just looks triple terrible, you know, as far as everybody else
Or
looking at you, what the franchise is
yeah,
doing. You know what
or
I'm saying?
or it's one of those things where, like, oh my god, we didn't envision this guy being this terrible. We can't work with him. So we'll
Right.
see what happens. We'll see what happens. Don't expect either one of the rookies to be moved on from. But
Right. And if you talk about trading
again,
too, what kind of trade are you going to get for that? For a seventh
7th
round
rounder.
pick that you did before, or even Gabriel at that, you know, for what you know, round you drafted him on? You're
The
not going to
7th
get much
rounder.
value. Yeah.
You're gonna
So,
get
you
a
know what I'm
7th
saying?
rounder
So,
for either one of them.
right. So there isn't anything. So that's why Pickett, again, just like many other teams or a few other teams now, you know, the Eagles and now, you know, the Browns wanted to take a
Yeah.
shot, you know, see what's happened, see what this guy's got or something.
Yeah, no matter what happens, it's going to be a low end pick, 7th round pick for any of
hmm
these guys.
hmm
Graham Glasgow former offensive guard, now moving to center for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Frank Ragnow announcing retirement. They got to fill the hole somewhere. So, they fully trust Graham can make the transition, and he's going to get a chance to start this year.
Mhm.
New York
Yeah.
Giants, some very shaky news in New York. Malik Neighbors taken to the locker room after injury during training camp practice, suspects to be a shoulder injury. But so far, we're still waiting to hear the severity of it. I don't expect it to be anything catastrophic,
Mm-mm.
but we'll wait for the doctors to confirm all that. In New England, the corner who was hurt last year, Christian Gonzalez, missed a lot of time the whole year, suffers a hamstring injury in practice. But
Yeah.
everybody, guess what? He's expected to play week 1. So it sounds like he's going to miss all the rest of training camp, and they're hoping that he's going to be ready for week 1. Man, is this guy going to end up becoming an injury plagued player? So far, he's on his way to being so.
Yeah. So far, that's the thing, though. It's going to be like one of those things like, hey, how good are you unless you're on the field? You know what I'm saying? Because again, that season when he was healthy, he looked pretty good,
Really good.
So
Really good.
so
Yeah.
that's the thing. Availability, your best ability here.
And the New York Jets keep adding talent by signing veteran kicker Nick Folk.
And Nick Folk.
So they're
Yeah.
making moves in New York. They believe.
Making moves.
And by the way, Justin Fields is back at practice.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Jets fans were concerned.
Yep.
We talked about this earlier in the show, but if you missed that, Trey Hendrickson is reportedly will end his holdout. Still not close to a new contract with the Bengals. However, he'll be flying from Florida to Cincinnati today, planning to end his holdout on Wednesday. The
All right,
Broncos,
Joe. Yep.
last
Go
but
ahead.
not least, the
Mhm.
Broncos, focusing on deals for defensive lineman Zach Allen and linebacker Nick Benito. But however, they will not be negotiating deals with defensive lineman John Franklin Myers. And that is your quick slants.
Quick slants. All right, Joe. So I want to bring up one thing here too that I guess a lot of people aren't talking about, that except for Lions fans, right? Because Lions fans, your team's good, right? Now that this team, they've got a lot of good players here. They've locking in some of the guys, the key players that they have here. But then now it's time to make decisions with guys that have been contributing. They're fan favorites, but they're aging a bit now too. All right. So Alex Anzalone's contract is pretty much, up to debate here too. To where he's at the end here. So they either gotta re-sign him here. He's like 30 years old right now, almost 31, right?
Right.
So again, fans, hey, you got to pay the guy, this and this. And Manti Te'o, I think, even not that I care about his opinion that much, had ranked him even one of the top linebackers too out there too, which I think he's a good skill player too. Last year, though, only played 10 games again, those too. When he's out there, he's producing. I mean, he's getting sacks. He's a ball hawk all over the all over the place too. But he will be up for another contract. So, I mean, what do the Lions do too on that aspect? I mean, do they just decide to bring him in, restructure his contract this year, add him for a couple more years on this late, on a push here too, to try and get that championship? Or they just say, whatever, it's been great, but time to get a little younger too, and we can catch somebody in the draft.
And that's it right there. Like the Lions have been doing a good job of drafting so far. And why stop now? I don't think Alex Anzalone is one of those playmaker, like high end linebackers that everyone talks about through the NFL. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he's not, he's not a Fred Warner, in with the 49ers. He's not a Dre Greenlaw in his prime. You know what I mean? Like, he's not one of these play-making linebackers. So yes, he might make some splash plays once in a while. He's a good, solid player, but that's what he is. He's a solid player. He's not a guy that's going to cost you the game or anything, but he's also a guy that's not going to make too many big-time plays. And I think the Lions continue to do what they've been doing and build through the draft. So do not sign him to an extension. Do not rework his contract. Let him walk in free agency and go draft yourself another star-studded linebacker.
Absolutely, Joe. So, yeah, so there you go. There's our quick slants. We're talking about it there too. Injuries again with the Cowboys. So let's see what happens with them and the offensive line. If they get banged up again, I mean, it's going to be a rough one here for, you know,
Well, technically, they already are.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
technically, Tyler Guyton is
yeah,
injured.
yeah,
He'll be out 4 to 6 weeks
Yep,
now.
they lost the guard
From
too.
now, though.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's gonna bleed into the beginning of the season until he's 100%. So, yeah, he's gonna miss some time, early on, and who knows? Maybe by week 1, another guy goes down. So we'll see. We'll be here to keep you guys in tune for sure. If you're new to the show, if this is your first time, if you love the content, we love you being here. Thanks to all the Blindside Blitz Nation out there. Make sure you head over to Grumblings Media, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up while you're at it, just to let YouTube know, like, hey, these guys know what they're doing. And then don't forget to share it to all your family and friends. Wow, we just got a late comment in the house here.
Oh, we did. Just
Mr.
as
Mike Tackett. Before
Mike
we finish
Tackett's in
up,
the house. Oh man, we got to bring Mike Tackett in there too.
that's right. Bring him in.
All right. He goes, if guys have any friends or family on the West Coast or in Hawaii, check on them. Russia just got hit with one of the world's largest earthquakes just now. An 8.8 tsunami is expected soon in Hawaii. Holy crap. Damn, dude. That changed everything. The whole feel on this.
Way to bring everybody down, Mike.
But Mike always brings the news, always, whatever. But that's crazy. So yeah, anybody out there on the West Coast, hey, take cover.
Hope you guys are
shelter,
safe.
whatever you guys
are
do.
okay out there.
Yeah, check in on people. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean?
Prayers goes out to West Coast.
Yep. Everybody out there. Oh man, yeah, out there, Hawaii.
Mike, we do
my
appreciate
gosh.
you. Mike is always dropping knowledge, dropping news. Whether
I thought he was going to give us a question, say, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" And then all of a sudden, I think about,
I gotta say,
what do I think about that, Joe?
Mike Tackett might be part of a weather podcast. We don't know it.
He might
He's
too.
got the scoop on everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So
thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Definitely. So that's it for our show here tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with the Football on the Nose show. So you guys check us out there too at our other show. You can find us on YouTube too as well. So that's it. We'll see you guys next Tuesday for some more training camp headlines. We'll see what happens next week. If any of these contracts get done too, if they do, whatever, we'll be here. So join along with us too as well.
Christian Wilkins is.
Absolutely. So I'll see you guys and talk to you in the next one.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these 2 boxes.